Hey everyone, back with chapter 6 of First Kings. So what it talks about, it says this. It says Solomon builds the temple. In the 480th year after the people of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Zib, which is the 2nd month, he began to build the house of the Lord. The house that the king Solomon built for the Lord was 60 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. The vestibule in front of the nave of the house was 20 cubits long, equal to the width of the house, and 10 cubits deep in front of the house. And he made for the house windows with recessed frames. He also built a structure against the wall of the house running around the walls of the house, both the nave and the inner sanctuary. And he made 6 chambers all around. The lowest story was 5 cubits broad, the middle one was 6 cubits broad, and third was 7 cubits broad. For around the outside of the house he made offsets on the wall in order that the supporting beams should not be inserted into the walls of the house. When the house was built, it was with stone prepared at the quarry, so that neither a hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was being built. The entrance for the lowest story was on the south side of the house, and one went up by stairs to the middle story, and from the middle story to the third. So he built the house and finished it, and he made the ceiling of the house of beams and planks of cedar. He built the structure against the whole house, 5 cubits high, and was joined to the house with timbers of cedar. Now the word of the Lord came to Solomon concerning this house that you are building. If you will walk in my statutes or my rules, and obey my rules, and keep all my commandments, and walk in them, then I will establish my word with you when I spoke to David your father, and I will dwell among the children of Israel, and will not forsake my people Israel. Let's see real quick. Now they have a map here, and I'll do it in my next video. It's huge. Moving on, it says, so Solomon built the house and finished it. He lined the walls of the house on the inside with boards of cedar from the floor of the house to the walls of the ceiling. He covered them on the inside with wood, and he covered the floor of the house with boards of cypress. He built 20 cubits of the rear of the house with boards of cedar from the floors to the walls, and he built this within as an inner sanctuary as the most holy place. That would be, of course, where the high priest would meet God. The house that is the nave in the front of the inner sanctuary was 40 cubits long. The cedar within the house was carved in the forms of gourds and open flowers, all with cedar. No stone was seen. The inner sanctuary prepared in the innermost part of the house, and to set there the ark of the covenant of the Lord. The inner sanctuary was 20 cubits long, 20 cubits wide, and 20 cubits high, and he overlaid it with pure gold. He also overlaid an altar of cedar, and Solomon overlaid the inside of the house with pure gold. And he drew chains of gold across in front of the inner sanctuary, and overlaid it with gold. And he overlaid the whole house with gold until all the house was finished. Also the whole altar that belonged to the inner sanctuary, he overlaid that with gold. In the inner sanctuary, he made 2 cherubim of olive wood. Of course, cherubim were angels, and he made them out of olive wood. Each 10 cubits high, 5 cubits was the length of one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits the length of the other wing of the cherub. It was 10 cubits from the tip of one wing to the tip of the other. The other cherub also measured 10 cubits. Both cherubim had the same measure and the same form. The height of the one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was that of the other cherub. Very huge wing angels, pretty much. He put the cherub in the innermost part of the house, and the wings of the cherubim were spread out so that a wing of one touched the one wall, and the wing of the other cherub touched the other wall. Their other wings touched each other in the middle of the house, and he overlaid the cherubim with gold. Now, of course, my past videos I talked about this. Why did God choose gold to overlay the temples and to overlay everything that represented God? Here's the reason why. Gold is the most precious metal on earth. So for God, he chose the most precious metal on earth, which is pure gold, which is pure because God is pure, and that's why he chose gold, because it is the most precious metal on earth, and it is pure, just like God is. That's why he chose gold. It's very interesting there. See where I left off at. Okay, it says, and he overlaid the cherubim with gold. Around all the walls of the house he carved engraved figures of cherubim and palm trees and open flowers in the inner and outer rooms. The floor of the house he overlaid with gold in the inner and outer rooms. For the entrance to the inner sanctuary he made doors of olive wood. The lintel and the doorposts were 5-sided. He covered the 2 doors of olive wood with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid them with gold and spread gold on the cherubim and on the palm trees. So also he made the entrance to the nave doorposts of olive wood in the form of the square, and 2 doors of the cypress wood. The 2 leaves of the one door were folding, and the 2 leaves of the other door were folding. On them he carved cherubim and palm trees and open flowers, and he overlaid them with gold evenly applied on the carved work. He built the inner court with 3 courses of cut stone and 1 course of cedar beams. In the 4th year the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid, in the month of Zib. In the 11th year, in the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, the house was finished in all its parts, and according to all its specifications, he was 7 years in building it. So it took them 7 years to build this temple. It's amazing. And they do have a map here. It says Jerusalem at the time of Solomon, 950 BC. The various building projects, Solomon began to transform the small military stronghold of the city of David, which is Jerusalem, to a full-scale city that would be the geographical center of the Israelite religion. He built the temple of the Lord in the royal palace complex on the hill to the north of the stronghold and encircled it with a wall. Ironically, Solomon also allowed his many foreign wives to establish pagan or satanic shrines on the hill to the east of the city, which would later be called the Mount of Corruption. Now, the map here you have the temple, the altar, the royal palace, the Mount of Olives, which was to the east of Jerusalem, the Kidron Valley, King David's palace, the Sea of David, which is Jerusalem today, the Gihon Spring, the Mount of Corruption, which was just southeast of Jerusalem, and the King's Garden, which was just south of Jerusalem, and then the Hinnom Valley, which was just south of Jerusalem, and then En-Rogel. And this is Jerusalem at the time of Solomon. Not really that big yet, but that's how big it was at the time of Solomon. So he's just now starting to really build Jerusalem up to where it can be an actual city and a fortified city, and it can be the capital pretty much of Israel. That's why he's trying to build it. That's why he's trying to build it. I'm trying to say this right. This is why he's trying to build it more up, so that it can be the biggest city in Israel, and that he can build it up. He can build it up even more, especially during war and during war times, and that's really it. And also to serve other reasons as well. But that's Jerusalem at the time of Solomon, and I'll be right back with this huge picture of the temple. I'll be right back with that.